Well, hello, dear listeners and dear viewers, and welcome to another episode of the Global Advocate Career Podcast. Wow, today I have the honor of introducing you to some of the most beautiful individuals I had the pleasure of meeting recently. If you recall, several months ago, I went to Ghana for the first time with a service learning program called 3GC. I actually have the pleasure of interviewing the executive director here on the show. And now I want to introduce you to the individuals that I traveled with and who hold a special place in my heart. Let's meet them in alphabetical order. Let's start with Brianna. Brianna Burton. And I also want to say we have another participant coming in from Ghana, experiencing a little technical difficulties. It'll work out. And he'll put his video on soon. No pressure, Tito. First up, Brianna Burton. Brianna, you're based in Long Island, right? Your master's in social work, and you're currently a crisis counselor working with mental health population. And Brianna is also the owner of Untrapped Minds, which is a clothing brand we'll hear more about. Welcome, Brianna, to the Global Advocate Career Podcast. Next up.
Thank you.
Yes, such a pleasure to have you. Next up, we have Andre Campbell. Andre, who's originally from Southfield, Michigan, who's now based in New York City. He's a software engineer at Google and a musician that we just found out. So you'll be telling us all about that. Thank you, Andre. And that's your extracurricular activity. Next up is Barbara Addo. Barbara, who's based in Northern Virginia, but born and raised in Ghana. So this is going to be exciting. Yes. You got your BS in exercise science, and now you're studying your doctorate in occupational therapy. Barbara also she's a makeup artist, and we're going to talk about that because I follow her on Instagram. I follow everyone on Instagram, but it's called Beats by Barb, and really good stuff there. Welcome, Barbara, to the Global Advocate Career Podcast. Next up is George Makunde Martin. George is based in Chicago. He is also a software engineer at Google, and he is also the executive director for Justice for Cameroon. George, welcome to the Global Advocate Career Podcast. Can't wait to ask you questions about your organization. Welcome. Next up, we have Maisha Mcbride. Wow, Maisha, Maisha, you're in Florida right now, right?
I'm in Maryland right now, but I'm from Florida.
Right, Fort Pierce, right. So you're in Maryland, and you studied and got your BS in pre-occupational therapy, and you're now enrolled in the doctoral program at Howard for occupational therapy as well. And among the many extracurricular activities that Maisha does, she said she enjoys meditating, singing, and being of service to others. Maisha, we're going to talk about that and how we did that in Ghana. Welcome, my dear Mango sister. She knows what that means. I don't know if I'm going to explain that. Next up, Tito. Tito's on his iPhone. Can you hear me? You there, Tito? I want to introduce Tito anyway.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm here, Miesha.
Oh. Tito.
I'm here. Yeah.
Yes, great. Based in Adenta, Ghana. Now, Ghana has 29 districts, and Adenta is one of them. He's an electrical engineer, and he's also a board member of the True Culture University, which organization which seeks to unite Black students on one platform. And last but not least, Cara McKenzie. Cara, how are you? Great to see. Love your background. Currently a high school social worker. You majored in psychology. You have your master's in school counseling, and now you're pursuing your doctorate in educational leadership. What's one of your extracurricular activities, Cara?
Being on a beach.
Well, yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Welcome, Cara. Welcome, everyone, to the Global Advocate Career Podcast. How are you doing?
Michelle, I'm doing good. How are you doing too? I hope everyone here is doing very well as well.
Yes, Tito. It is such a pleasure to have you. You're calling in from Ghana. Thank you for really working that out. Hopefully we'll get to see your lovely visage. I'm doing very well. Let's start with the first question. why did you decide to go to Ghana and why now? Who wants to go first?
I'll go. Hi, everybody. It's so good to see y'all. I missed you guys. So as for me, I've always dreamed of going to Africa as a kid. I just didn't know how exactly I would get there. So I believe in alignment, and I feel as though, the things that I've gone through, the people that I've been able to connect with along the way, it just aligned. And, coming to Howard, I feel like it kind of put the icing on the cake because I was able to meet Dr. Banks, who is the chair of my program, who introduced me to Dr. Auntie Bev. So it was all alignment, and I love helping others and just being of service to others. So along with just always wanting to go back home and just be of service to others, I just wanted to see how I can deliver my gift, not only here, but over there as well.
Absolutely. Brianna?
Hi everyone. So for me, one of my friends and past roommates, when I was in Atlanta, she had told me about the program. So I don't know how she got connected with it, but I think she got connected through Clark. And she had went the year before last, before COVID, and she kept like telling me about her experience, and it was like she made it seem like it was so amazing. And I'm like, I gotta go. Like I've always wanted to go to Africa, but I didn't know like when I would go or how soon it would be. So I decided to look into it, and then I joined the program to go.
Cara?
I'm just always passionate about like who I am. And so like being a Black woman, I was like, I have to get back to where I'm truly from because I only know America. And so I've always known I wanted to travel to Africa, but I didn't know what country I would start with or like how I would get there. And so I found this program on Instagram, and I have like a school counseling Instagram page, and a young lady followed me who went to Hampton, and she was talking about her travel abroad experience. And at this point I had graduated with my master's. So I was like, oh, that's nice. It doesn't apply to me, but it's nice. And so she was like, I know it's for recent grads. And so I saw her pictures and I was like, let me just apply. And then I didn't know it was going to come with like traveling with people I didn't know, or like I had no idea what it came with, or like the classes. So just the whole entire process was amazing. So the trip was the icing on the cake, but going with y'all was just amazing too. I didn't expect that. I didn't expect to like y'all this much.
Well, it's funny because you just completely found it off of Instagram. Like others have connections. I mean, talk about taking risks, right? That's what I say to my clients. Take risks. Even if you're not sure about it, just do it. George, you want to add anything there?
Yeah. I just wanted to leave the country after I graduated. So that's why I signed up. I found out about it through my friend who went to Howard that I met in Israel, actually. We're doing on the program, it was like a kind of like a study abroad, kind of not. But yeah, they told me about it. We were like, okay, part 2, let's take it to Ghana. And it was really cool.
Oh, okay. Now, Barbara, you were born and raised in Ghana. So for you, it was probably one of many trips, right? When was the last time you visited your country?
The last time I visited, besides the recent trip, was like 5 years ago.
Oh,
So it's been a while. So for me, like that, like wanting to go there was a no-brainer. I knew I wanted to go back and give back to my country. So that was even like one of the main reasons why I applied to Howard, because I saw on their website that they do this service trips, and they go to Ghana and they go to different countries. So that was like the main attraction to me, why I wanted to come to Howard, and I wanted to be a part of 3GC trip. So.
Oh, okay. Okay. Now, when you guys told your family and friends that you were going to Africa, to Ghana during the pandemic, what sort of reactions did you get? Because I'm going to tell you right now, the reactions that I got was everything from, oh my gosh, Michelle, that's fantastic, to, are you crazy? So am I the only one here?
No. Like I was talking about it, and my grandmother thought, she didn't say much about me going, but then in a conversation I was like, oh, I want you to see where we'll be staying and stuff. And she was like, I just knew you were going to be like in a hut outside. I was so concerned. And I was like, no, grandma, like city, you know. So a lot of people were skeptical about me going. And then on top of the pandemic, and then I told one of my students I was going, and she was like, what if you die? I was like, girl, why would I die? I could die going to work, you know? So it's just so many stigmas around like traveling abroad, but especially to Africa. And so it was refreshing to be able to destigmatize this trip and just make it more normalized. Like this is an unforgettable experience that everybody needs to have. So just do it.
Absolutely. That's what this trip was all about, destigmatizing. That's one of the reasons why I wanted to do this episode, because I feel that there's a lot of mistruths out there about the country. You know, this is my first trip to the continent, so I can't speak to other countries yet. But I feel like, you know, there's a lot of misperceptions out there that, you know, I feel like it's important to clear up. Andre, this was not your first trip. How many times have you been to Ghana before?
This would make it 2, so this would be my second trip.
Right. So you're on the board of 3GC. You're their IT representative, right, for tech.
Yes.
And what was it about this trip that was different from the others, if anything?
I wouldn't say things were different. Like no, both trips were pretty similar to me in regards to like service and cultural immersion and just experiencing Ghana. I guess what would be different this time, which is I guess not in our control, was because there was a lot of COVID protocols in place. So it was just we were just being extra cautious about where we were going and how we were doing, and just making sure we're following the guidelines. But as far as the service we were doing and the communities we were helping, it was the same, a very large impact.
Yeah. I mean, for those who are not aware, traveling to Ghana was probably the most invasive experience I've had from the perspective of testing. And it was nerve-wracking. 72 hours before taking the flight, right? And this has nothing to do with the program. This is just the protocols the country put into place, right? So it was, what was the name of the website that we had to make sure? I think I blocked it out mentally.
Anabayo.
No.
It was the throat swab for me.
Oh my goodness. It was
snake down our nose.
Crazy.
Yeah. But Miesha got the swab first, right? Didn't you? And you came back, you was like, y'all.
I was happy about it.
Man, I'll never forget the expression on our faces when we got the swab. I was like, I wanted to say, goodness gracious, you were so intimate with my nasal passages that it's like, dude, did you need to go any deeper? But the reason, you know, this is interesting to point out, because the vetting process to go into Ghana, in my opinion, is stricter than the vetting process to come back into this country, into the United States, with the exception of Tito. So, you know, that was something that was quite nerve-wracking, right? From the perspective of planning, right? First time for me. Brianna, what was going on in your mind when you were on the plane and before we landed in Accra? What was going on in your mind? Like, what were you thinking?
That's a good question. I really wasn't thinking anything specific. I was just excited to go. And when I first met you guys, you all like were very cool. So I'm like, this is gonna be an interesting trip. So yeah, I was just excited to go.
Yes. Miesha, how about you?
It was a lot of anticipation. Like, I was excited what I was going to see as the plane was landing. You know, I've been across water before, so I was just excited what I was going to see as we were landing. And pretty much everything, I mean, it was a lot more than I anticipated, because as Cara said, there's been a lot of stigma placed on Africa, but it was just beautiful. So I was just waiting in anticipation the whole time just to get there.
Yeah, me too. That's all I could think about. I was trying to focus on the movies. I saw a movie I already seen already. I was like, oh my gosh, like, you know, it was very exciting. George, you had come all the way from Chicago, right?
No, I'm actually from PG County, Maryland. I just moved to
Oh.
Chicago last week.
Oh, so you just moved. Oh my goodness. So when you got on the plane, and actually, well, was this your first time to the continent, George?
Yeah, it was.
Okay, so what were you thinking?
On the plane, honestly, I was just asleep. I wasn't. But like before I got on the plane, I was thinking about, I don't know, like, oh, this is like my first time on continent. I'm actually Cameroonian, so my family's from Cameroon. And they were like, oh, why don't you go to Cameroon and this is that? And I was like, you guys, that's a long story. But anyways, I was just thinking like, oh, I wonder how it's like, cause I've never been to Cameroon, but like, there's a lot, growing up in Maryland, like there's like a huge African population, huge Cameroonian population. So I was
Really?
wondering like, so there's a lot of cultural stuff that I still got, even though I lived in America. So I was just wondering like, oh, I wonder what the differences are between like Cameroon and Ghana culturally and things like that. So that was pretty cool to experience.
Oh, that's interesting. So you chose to go to Ghana first before going to your native country.
Not because I chose it, just because there's no programs that are going to.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it was just easier to go to Ghana than Cameroon.
Okay. And Cara, in light of the feedback you got from some of your loved ones, you know, what was going on in your mind?
A lot of things. First of all, it was a long trip, and just I was so overwhelmed with the whole like making sure my COVID test was like in the time frame, and so that was enough. But then I was trying to like sanitize my seat, and then I was trying to get comfortable. But then I finally woke up and we weren't there yet, and I was like, oh, okay. So it was really cool. Like Barbara taught me how to watch the plane go across the water and stuff. And I was like, we have not touched this continent yet. So I guess like a lot of anticipation. It was fun just getting to know everybody because we all sit together, which was helpful because it's like, this is a long flight, you know? So even though we had just met each other in the airport, like a couple of hours before, it was comforting to have each other close. And I was just excited. Like I didn't have any expectations. I was just ready to get there.
Yeah. And, you know, goodness gracious, the trip in itself is very, how can I say, very exciting. But on top of the COVID concerns, it just kind of put another layer on there that is, you know, you kind of need to deal with, right? The mask. I mean, that's wearing a mask. How long did it take to get there? Like, I want to say 12 or 13. Was it 15 hours? Andre, how long?
It wasn't that long. I want to say in between 10 and 12, maybe. Or
10 and 12
hours, yeah.
Did it take 2 days? I feel like it's...
I feel like it was a 10-hour flight.
Yeah, Barbara's like, Michelle, no, you're exaggerating. But yeah, so there was that extra layer. Anyway, we land, all of our luggage, right, gets there safely, right? It's a direct flight, and it gets packed on this bus. Oh my goodness, there's a picture that we all took in front of the bus, which is exciting. And then we go, you know, after we settle in a few days, we take classes. Tito, you still there?
Yeah, Michelle, I'm here. I would like to apologize. It looks like my settings are messing up or something like that. So it looks like I will not be able to get my camera on. It's so unfortunate, but
that's
I'm hoping
okay.
I'll be forgiven. Yeah.
Oh my goodness, Tito. Of course we forgive you. We're just thrilled that you can join us, right? Because what time is it over there? Right now it's 11:32 over here. What time is it over there?
It's 3:32 here.
Did you have your lunch?
Yeah, I ate something.
Okay, good. As long as you're taking care of yourself. Okay, George will be right back. So we land and we do our language lessons. Oh my goodness, what is your favorite phrase or word that you learned during the... Barbara, I'm not including you on this one, nor
no, but I didn't speak tree though, so I learned some stuff too.
Really?
I'm the pacha. Yeah, like I know. Please.
So wait a minute, backtrack a bit. So you, even though you were born and raised and you came over to the US, you did not speak tree at home.
No, because my parents speak a different language. We speak Ga.
Okay.
So, you know, growing up, that's what I speak. So I'm not around people that speak Tree often. So I didn't, like, I can understand it a little bit, but I can't really speak it or, you know.
Oh, so and
Michelle, please.
yes, yes.
Sorry, but I would just like to clarify that it's not sort of like compulsory that if you live in Ghana, you're supposed to speak Tree. Some people have that misconception that if you live in Ghana, you must speak Tree. But even Accra, where a lot of people are based, it's not for their account. So why should we even speak Tree in the first place in Accra? But Tree is just one of the most popular languages in Ghana. That's how come a lot of people speak Tree. I just wanted to clarify.
Yes. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I mean, there are several languages that are, there are many languages that are spoken in Ghana. And so I think we're just highlighting two. Thank you, Tito, for that clarification. Andre, what's your favorite phrase?
Been using Madase Pa a lot. Just saying thank you with lots of thanks.
Yeah, so I have a question actually. So Medase, is that the same in Ga as it is in Tree? Like, can we say this? No, it's not.
No, it's different. Yes.
It's different in Ga.
Mm.
What is it in Ga?
Ga is Oradon.
Yeah.
What is it?
Oradons.
Oh,
Oradon.
oh, completely different.
Completely different.
Wow.
Different.
Oh my goodness. Any other phrases that someone learned that they want to share with us?
I would say for mine, Aquaba, just because everybody was so welcoming. And that was a word that caught my attention almost everywhere I went. And so it was just nice to feel welcome, almost like not even almost everywhere we went. So that was one of my favorite words.
Yeah, actually, that's great. You know, did you find everyone welcoming who you encountered? Oh, Cara, you wanna elaborate?
Yeah, I felt welcomed like everywhere. People were excited to see us, especially like working in a school in America and then going to the schools in Ghana. Like those students were so full of gratitude. Never experienced that, okay? So, I was really overwhelmed with how appreciative they were. And just how excited, like the welcoming songs, like you do not get that in the classroom in America. So, well, I'm just gonna say in Memphis because I've never had that, but it was so special. So I felt welcomed everywhere, even in the shops we went to buy in, and at the market. I mean, people were like, "Let me help you. I'm going to go with you to every shop because I want to make sure you get whatever you're looking for." Like, come on now, one-on-one shopping experience. Yeah,
they want that money. That's why.
Well,
but some of them didn't ask me for anything. He just wanted to help, you know. So
yeah,
I had a good experience.
I agree with you, Cara. I agree with you, Brianna. I saw you nodding away as well. What were your thoughts?
Oh yeah, I agree with Cara. Like they were very welcoming, like especially the kids. Like they had a whole welcome song as soon as you walk in the classroom. And then at first, some of them were kind of nervous, but then once one person participated, then they all kind of like fell in line. So I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, I definitely felt the same way. I did not. As a matter of fact, the minute I landed, I just felt like I was in this just cocoon of love, but specific, but really just welcoming, right? It was just everything just felt right. And I wanted to say that because, you know, some of my friends have asked me, did you feel safe? I felt 100% safe. How about you guys?
I agree. That's something I actually told my family because I was asked the same question, like, did you feel safe? And I honestly told them I felt almost more safe there than I did back at home because just something very small, like back where I'm from, I'm used to hearing a lot of ambulance, a lot of gunshots, and I didn't hear any of that in Ghana. So they were surprised for me to respond that way. I was like, yeah, I felt a lot more safe there than I do even home. So
yeah, just being where I'm from, like I'm always on guard, right? But like there, I felt fine. It wasn't a need for me to be like nervous or, I mean, I was aware, but a part of me feeling safe was good old Tito. You know, he looked out for us, and that was helpful too, just to have somebody like look out for you. Shout out to Andre, you know. But Tito, he definitely looked out, being a Ghanaian, so it was helpful to have him too. So I feel safe.
Yeah, Tito, you definitely made the trip. You made a difference by you being there. The trip was just, it just felt a lot more secure. How does it feel to deal with, Africans from the diaspora who come over? Thank you. You see that, Andre? You see, I said, how did that feel for you, Tito?
It's a very different experience because, there are very different cultural perceptions, or the society is different, everything is different. So though the color skin or the color of the skin is the same, the thinking is different. So there's a lot, I feel like you guys have a lot to offer. Sometimes some people, I'm not talking about people from 3GC, but some people from like other organizations, or some people who come on their own, come with a certain perception, and it's not open-minded. So that's where the problem is. There's sometimes a problem, we can't really connect with each other because they are coming with a certain perception, and people like me can handle that. That's the problem. But it's fine. I think it's a very good experience, and I wish people get to experience that. Yeah.
I mean, I think that's an excellent point, Tito. Thank you about traveling and being open-minded, particularly amongst our own. I think that society in the US is fraught and rampant with, how can I say, negative imagery about us that, quite frankly, is not replicated in other places. And I think Ghana was one of those places where I felt safe in a country of African individuals, dark-skinned individuals. And it's true. Miesha said it, right? You felt safer over there than over here. And I just want to say, Cara mentioned something that's very true. Being on guard all the time. You're always thinking about, what's that over there? Well, I'm going to speak for myself. Being born and raised in New York City, you're thinking about what's going to happen, what I need to be careful of. And I didn't feel that way at all. Barbara, when you were there 5 years ago, what was your feeling? And do you feel the same way that some of us feel about feeling safe?
Yeah, I agree with everyone on the panel. Every time I go to Ghana, I definitely feel more safe. I feel more happier. I just feel like a different version of myself, less stressed out. Everyone there is so loving. Of course, Andre, you're right. Some people do it because they want money, like any little bit helps. But some people also do it just out of the kindness of their heart, like seeing especially Black American or African diasporas come to Ghana, seeing that makes them happy, makes them feel loved and like appreciated, that you've come to our country, you appreciate our country. So they also enjoy being around people like us. So every time I go to Ghana, I feel the same way. I feel very, just very happy and very safe.
Yeah, and I just want to say that, if you heard me say, correct myself about not saying African Americans or Afro Latino, or one of the things that I learned in traveling with you all and from Beverly, the executive director, is that we're all Africans, but we are living in different parts of the world, which is the diaspora, right? And that's a new expression for me, because it actually makes more sense. What is African American, right? Now, I didn't say I'm Afro-Latino because that's my background. I feel fine saying that than attaching something else. So that's why, you heard Barbara say it, because that's what we are. We are all of, maybe some don't want to maybe admit it. I'm speaking for myself, but, we are Africans from the diaspora, or in the diaspora. When we were there during dinner time one night, the power went out. Do you guys remember that?
That was the first night, right?
I think it was the first night. Was it the first night?
I think so.
Yeah, it was the first night. It was the first night.
Thank you. And I'm actually, yes, Tito, as an electrical engineer, school us. Does this happen all the time? And if it does, it doesn't matter to me because I'm still going. But tell us, what's up with these power outages?
So power outages, you can't anticipate. Sometimes you can't anticipate when it's going to happen. But in Ghana, we've been having power outages for a very long time. But recently, it got better because there has been some additional megawatts that have been added to the grid. So some people in some communities and who didn't expect to have power are now having power. And there's improvement of power stability in the country. And but as at the time you guys were here, there was just some work that was going on. There's a new substation that was being built somewhere. So the power was just running in and out, in and out, in and out. It wasn't something that was planned, but sometimes it happens, yeah. But now it's better, trust me, now it's better. As an electrical engineer and knowing the country's power capacity now, I know it's better.
Well, that's great. That's great. What were your thoughts, Brianna, when we experienced that little power outage?
Actually, I don't remember that. I don't remember there being a power outage.
Now, okay, no problem. There was a power outage. Barbara, were you going to say something?
Well, I agree with Bria. I actually don't remember either.
What?
But I know they do have a lot of, I know, because I remember one time, 5 years ago when I was in Ghana, we had a power outage for like almost a week. So I was almost scarred by that because it was hot. And, luckily we had AC. Well, no, I guess if the power was out, we didn't even have AC. So it was just hot. And then we're just outside the whole time. It was miserable for almost a week. So I just remember my experience from that. So maybe that's why this one moment I don't remember because I've had worse experience.
Well, that's a great perspective. Well, for those, George, George, by the way, for our listeners and viewers, George was actually part of the second group, but we are glad to have him on this group. But question, George, did you experience any power outages?
No, we did. Oh,
We did.
Okay, these power outages.
Yeah. So the power will go out at the restaurant sometimes, but usually they have backup generators, so it'll go out briefly, but then they'll come back on. One time, the power outage that I remember most vividly is because I was teaching during the power outage. And this is at the Medina Job Center, and the power went out for a couple hours. To where and everything I was doing was on a whiteboard, or I was presenting on the board, but I had to switch gears and start drawing things on the whiteboard. But the one thing I do, everybody's very adaptive. We was able to quickly switch and keep going with the lesson, and then come back the next day when the power was fixed. So definitely experienced some power outages, but it didn't stop the show.
Yeah, and I think that's the reason why I'm bringing it up, because these things do happen when you go to other countries, but you roll with it, right? I think in our case, we just went outside and took pictures, which I did. And, when it came back, we just ate again, or maybe we were done with our meal, right, Cara? You remember that?
That's why I think they don't remember.
Oh.
We had already moved outside. We had finished eating and we were taking pictures. And we were we saw the glitch in the restaurant. Did the lights go out? But we were outside. It was already dark outside. So we didn't never go back into the restaurant. That's why I think they don't remember, because after that we left.
That must be why. Yeah, because we were outside taking pictures.
Yeah, we were outside.
Yeah, that's what it is.
It's blackout. It's okay. Let's take pictures. One of the parts of the trip, Tito, if you can put your phone on mute for a second, that would be appreciated. Thank you so much. Thank you. One of the aspects of the trip, which was very emotional for me, was visiting the slave dungeons. I call them dungeons, not castles, because even though individuals did live there, there was nothing luxurious about it. tell me what your thoughts were and how you felt during these visits, right? We visited Elmina and then we went to Cape Coast. Who would like to share how they felt?
I can go.
Or thoughts?
For me, it was very powerful because, you know, I've never been there. So that was my first time experiencing it. And especially the second one we went to, I just really like, I kind of felt connected almost. And when the tour guide, the way he was talking, I feel like I could see everything that was happening. And just seeing the door of no return was kind of like, I think that was the moment that made me like, it like broke me down internally. And it made me also feel appreciative. It also made me feel, although I was sad, I also kind of felt empowered. And I felt like, you know, they did that and like, look, it made me look at my life, like, look how where I am now. And it just made me proud to be a Ghanaian. It made me proud to be in that moment. So it was, I had like both feelings, like I was feeling sad, but at the end of the tour, I was just feeling very proud of where I came from.
Yeah, I agree. For the second one that we went to in Cape Coast, I think the tour guide really like painted the picture of everything. So I was able to see, kind of get a picture of how it really was. And then when we got towards the end, there was like a little door that led to the beach. And he was saying how the fishermen like sometimes hear noises at night. So I thought that was very interesting. Like you can still hear the spirits that were there in the past.
It was just a host of emotions. I think for me, as a woman, like hearing how the tour guide like described how women were kept and like walking on the ground, right? We have on shoes, and if they were barefoot, like the brick that they were standing on, and then how they used the restroom and like ate, it was just really hard to internalize, especially because it was like 12 of us, and he was saying it was hundreds of people in there, right? And we were like sweating and like feeling claustrophobic with just us as a small group. And so I really felt overwhelmed at times. And then just knowing about like when he spoke about the courtyard and how the governor would like look down and like shoot slaves. And so just being a woman to know that, you know, we can be like just brought down like our worth just to be sexualized. And so it was just a lot to process. And I felt empowered after seeing like the door of no return and being welcomed back. Like that was a really special moment for me because I feel like they didn't have to do that, but to know like, yes, this is home and like you are welcome back now, even though we were, our ancestors have endured all of that. Like now as educated millennials, you know, we're doing it and being successful and having a bright outlook on life. So it was just a full circle moment because I've been to a museum in Memphis called Slave Haven. And so it's like where the Underground Railroad goes. And so it's like to know that part, but like where it actually started, it just was like putting the pieces of the puzzle together for me and just made me feel like proud to be who I am because now like nobody can take away that from me.
I would say that seeing like reading about something is much different than like actually seeing it and experiencing it. So like when actually seeing like Cara just said like the small rooms they're in, like the punishments that the disobedient ones were put in, and like just the inhumane punishment and like lack of regard for like human life, it was just like crazy to me. And then another thing I noticed was that usually like in education they put a lot of emphasis on like the Middle Passage and then like slavery itself. Well, when I say a lot of emphasis, I just mean in comparison to, because I feel like they kind of gloss over it. But they don't really talk about the journey in order before the ship. And that was like a whole learning experience for me because like I knew it was bad, but I didn't know how bad it really was. Like they had to walk miles just to get one bath, then walk more like thousands of miles to the castle just to stay in the small room and then get shipped off. And like over half of them died on the way there. Like they don't really talk about that in school. They talk about the Middle Passage, but they don't talk about what's before that. So that was, I guess it was interesting to learn that perspective as well.
Oh, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Okay. I agree with what everyone else said. For me, at first it was sad. I felt myself not even being able to speak kind of most of the time, because it's interesting to know that people it was just so inhumane the way that we were treated. And it's just really sad to know that, people had mindsets like that in those times, because we all are human. But just the simple fact that, it kind of made me angry that because our skin just happens to be darker and, we're looked at as inferior, that you would allow us or make us undergo something so inhumane. So at first I was sad and angry, but like everyone else said, being a Black woman, just being Black in general, it was also very empowering, because just hearing how most of our people, a lot of them died, which is sad, but a lot of them also lived, and it helped me understand how strong and how powerful we are as the Black race, because a lot of people wouldn't have been able to endure a lot of those things that were done to us. So although some died, being that a lot still lived and, were able to carry, it wasn't a legacy, but, we were brought over here through the diaspora, and we were made, different generations were made. I don't know, it was just a sense of like strength and empoweredness. And that's why it helps me understand that why as Black people, even now in today's society, we go through so much, but we don't quit. And a lot of people try to say that, we complain. We really don't, because subconsciously, a lot of those things, a lot of things have to deal with psychology. So to me, subconsciously, we do have explanations for a lot of the ways that we react or we see things, or why we feel like, a lot of people are against us, because that's how it's been. And that's just the reality for it. So as far as that aspect, it's an empowerment, and it helps me understand, okay, some ways I do act the way I act because of certain things, but it doesn't mean that I have to continue those actions, but I don't have to forget, because that's where we come from. And I feel like that's why as Black people, a lot of us may feel lost in certain aspects, because going to those dungeons was like a new starting point for me, because as George said, they don't talk about the dungeon aspect as we're growing up through elementary, high school, middle school, high school, and history. They don't talk about that part. So actually being able to just stand there and be on the same grounds where, as Cara said, women were sexualized, our men were looked, harsh things were done to them. It was a sense of sadness, but more so empowerment. And I understand a lot of things, and I kind of feel like it allowed me to see, when I came back over here, I see things more in like a 4D aspect. So.
Brianna?
I'm sorry, repeat the question.
No, it just, did you want to add to what was already commented in reference to the visits to the dungeons?
Yeah, just, I agree, like going back off what I said, like also like I think it was the second dungeon, they were saying that when the slaves were in the dungeon, like they would go to the bathroom there. So like the floor that we were stepping on was just leftover feces and stuff like that. So I thought that was just horrible to hear for me.
Yeah. I mean, for me, what was the biggest impression? Tito, I'm going to come to you in a minute. For me, it was just the sheer numbers, the underreporting of the loss of life before the Middle Passage, to add on to what George said. We hear, and we don't even really hear much about the Middle Passage. All we hear is that, I guess they give the impression like, oh, people just got captured, they got put in a ship, and then they came over. And no, it was much more than that. Millions and millions of lives were lost on the continent, on their way to this side of the world. And these visits also reinforced for me how our ancestors were not born slaves. They weren't slaves, but they were Africans who were captured. And I think that perception is something that needs to be really driven home, because right, people think that the history of Africa began with slavery. It's just, it's crazy. It's crazy. Numbers don't lie though. 46.5% of the slave trade was financed and supported and run by the British. And those are the individuals that shipped a lot of the captives to the West Indies. That particularly resonates with me because that's where my lineage is from, Barbados and then Panama, right? Tito, when you listen to us talk about our feelings in seeing these facades, do you think that they should be kept or destroyed?
I don't see why you should destroy it, because that's your history. So destroying it is just like taking away the roots of a tree. That's everything. So you can't destroy it, but you need to keep it. But I just don't think we should dwell on it so much and let it look like that's the hindrance of our progress. We can still progress. Once we are all alive and we are all strong, we can all think about something, put our heads together and let something work out. So let's not dwell on it. Let's move. We need to move from where we are right now. That's what I think. And everyone is involved. Every single Black person is involved. That's what I think.
You know, that's an interesting perspective. Hearing it from an individual who's African, right? Who I've met, that says, "Oh, it's time to move on," right? It's interesting because, if anything, in this side of the world, that's the ramifications of that horrible experience pervade. Tito, let me go back to you for a minute. What do you believe the perception is that Ghanaians have of the slave trade? And what is your opinion? Because, you know, I don't want to speak on behalf of everyone, and I'm sure I don't want to put you in that position. Do they feel responsibility? Because I actually got a text when I was over there from a friend of mine saying, "But Michelle, can you clarify, weren't there tribes that turned in their enemies to the slave traders?" Tito, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so Michelle, if I come and kill you in your house, you have to blame those you live with. Am I lying? If you live with anybody, you have to blame those you live with. That means they weren't careful enough to take care of you as well. So if people come here to come and do something to us, we played a role. We played a role because we show them where the road is. We gave them the chance to mess with us or do all what they wanted to do. So we played a role, and that's how a lot of Ghanaians think about it. They don't really feel or see things differently from you when it comes to the slave trade, but we even see things more than you do, because we have been to the slave dungeons from childhood, like with excursions and all that. Some people just organize normal trips and just visit all those places. So we have seen all of those things, and we were taught in school, though a lot of the information or the history has been edited. We are still able to have a clearer picture more than you, I should say.
Yeah, I mean, thank you. Yes, George.
I wanted to add on about the part of like Africans selling other Africans for slave trade. Just to add perspective, the identity of an African didn't really exist until the slave trade, like hundreds of years into it. Beforehand, it was more of a tribal identity. So I'm Bakari, for example. My tribe wouldn't consider like another tribe, let's say Bayangi, to be their people like they are nowadays. Like we have a united identity as Africans. So if you're born with another tribe, from their perspective, they're like, okay, this person is offering me this for this tribe that I don't like anyways. They're not us, so we're gonna give them away. But they didn't, for a lot of times they didn't, this is not defending, by the way, this is just kind of like explaining the mindset. A lot of times they didn't understand the full, I don't know how to explain the full experience of what they ended up selling their enemy tribe into, because indentured servants back then were very common, and indentured servants were not treated the way that the slaves were treated. So most of the time they're thinking they're selling their enemy tribe into being indentured servants, but they're really being sold into like torture. But yeah.
Thank you, George. Barbara, when you were
Oh, you can go ahead. I just wanted to add just a little bit to that. But.
Go ahead, Andre. Go ahead, and then I'll go to Barbara, please.
So even if, or even though like some tribes did sell their captured enemies into slavery, the majority of those who were taken across or dispersed across the rest of the world weren't sold or weren't captured from tribes and given to the Europeans. They were forcefully taken to where, yeah, they were forcefully taken. So even if tribes did sell off captured people, the numbers are not comparable.
Andre, you said even if, does that mean you do not believe that tribes played a role as?
No, I do.
Oh, okay.
I do. Yeah.
Okay. Barbara, growing up, you were born and raised in Ghana. What did you hear about the slave trade from an African perspective, right? Someone who was born on the continent.
So growing up, I actually didn't hear much, unfortunately. I wasn't there for much long. So, schools didn't really talk about it. As much, they don't even talk about it here either that much either. But my school that I went to, they barely told us much about it. And then my parents did tell me a little bit, like here and there, but like till recently, they've never also been to the castles either. So, and they were telling me they didn't really learn much growing up. So unfortunately, our school system do also play a role. Like we don't learn much here. They're not really learning much there. Maybe depending on where you go. And if luckily your parents have that experience to pass it on to their children. But unfortunately, yeah, they didn't learn much. So they only give me the bare minimum too. So I'm glad I got to experience this. So now I know, and I've learned more that I can pass on to my children because the school system doesn't do as much.
Yeah, I just wanted to say something. Barbara, maybe I think because you were not here for long, number one, and as at the time you were here, you were you were young. So by that time, according to the syllabus, you weren't doing something about slavery because we started learning slavery. That was JSS 1 or 2. Yeah, one of them. And that was like after grade 6 or something. So that was so maybe by that time you didn't really know much about it because you just hadn't gotten there. But it's something that we've been taught since, like from that time going. We've been taught social studies. There's some subjects that spoke about that. So.
Right. Yeah. What's clear is that no matter what side of the ocean you're in, there was definitely a concerted effort to not go into what transpired during the slave trade, which is not the case for other cultures where we know a lot about when they were, ostracized or rejected. Another example of this is, I did not know about the last bath, Asimanso, did not know about it. For those who are listening to this and haven't seen any of the material I put out there on Instagram, 300 plus miles on foot after being captured, right? If you survive not being attacked and killed by animals or just by health reasons, or if you just whatever, you have the opportunity to have a last bath. And this, I would say, was one of the most emotionally impactful parts of the trip for me. It took me a significant amount of time to just compose myself because of the emotions that I felt in this location. What were your thoughts about the last bath?
I agree with you, Miss Michelle. I've never heard of it too until we went there. So, and then just like being there, and then the guy telling us people walk from Nigeria, from different places in Africa, not just in Ghana. They're walking many miles just to come to that last bath. That was very emotional. And when he had us like stand in a line, he made us do like how they do, and like you have to walk at a certain pace. Every person has to be on the same pace, or else then you slow the group down, or you start to lag behind. That was very powerful. It brought me into the moment where I don't know, I feel like I was experiencing what they experienced, a little bit of what they experienced. But like you said, I never knew about the last bath. So that was something that was very powerful too.
It was absolutely. Cara?
Aside from that, because that was intense, but the God talked about the plant that when you like that was so like I was like, what is happening? Because he was saying like before, like Africans already had their own way to like know intruders are coming or intruders have been here. And so when he touched that plant and it instantly closed, and then I think he said, how long did it take to open? Like 10 minutes. Just to know, like before Europeans came and put like their stamp on certain things, like we were already living and we were already making innovative strides. And so it was just, but then actually getting the water. So fast forward when we actually made it to the water and to see the gold specks and to just like be still in the water and hear like the calming waves, like it was cool. It was just a lot to process, but such a beautiful moment to have experienced. And then when we came back up, it was refreshing, you know? So it was I don't know a word to describe what they went through when they entered it, but for me, being able to come out, that was powerful.
I'll just add briefly. I agree with everybody. It was a very powerful experience. As Cara said, just being still in the water and just hearing, you know, for us, the water seemed kind of peaceful, but for them, it wasn't. It was a totally different perspective. But, you know, I don't know, it's like you try to feel what they feel, but you just can't. But I was just trying to be thankful in that moment, just to be able to connect with with our ancestors more, and just also be there with other like-minded people as well that, you know, contributed to the experience.
Absolutely, Maisha. You know, thank you, Cara, for mentioning that we pretty much had our own ADT security system back in the 1500s, if I may. And yes, in connecting with our ancestors, which is exactly how I felt, we also connected with beautiful students, didn't we? And we had, you know, it's service learning, service teaching, however way you look at it. We really interacted with many students. What a fantastic experience. What was your favorite part?
I'll go. So my favorite part was definitely the drum class and the dancing class. It was like a workout, but it was fun at the same time. Like I just felt very energetic and they were very welcoming. And if you weren't doing something right, they would show you how to do it correctly. Yeah. I really enjoyed it.
I feel like my favorite part was after one of my service learning sessions. I went outside and just playing with the kids. We were playing soccer. Kids had a lot of energy. I was keeping up with them though, but that was just great. Just being able to just unwind and just play sports with kids. Yeah, it was nice.
Mine would be during my service learning project. It was kind of like a soft version of a hackathon. So like seeing what the students came up with and then presenting their ideas was really cool. Honorable mention will probably be that night we went to the club. I forgot what it was called. Andre knows what I'm talking about, but it was a really crazy night and it was a lot of fun.
My favorite part was, I think, the first school we went to, because those students, like, they had so much.
Yes.
I don't know, but like it was just the chemistry, because that was me, Brianna, and April's first time like doing our project actually together. And so we were all just a little walking on eggshells, but they were so receptive and like they gave us a concert and they asked us questions. They wanted to take pictures. It just was so fulfilling to us. And I just loved it. So from there, that point on, I was very excited to do all of our service learning, but that first school, yeah, they were unmatched, the energy.
I feel like I was Dawinya.
I was Dawinya, yes, yes.
First school, yeah. Dawinya Methodist.
really, really lovely time. I mean, I agree with Cara and everyone else's feedback. It was fantastic. It was unforgettable. You know, George talked about nightlife, you know. Let's talk about it for a minute. What was it about Ghanaian nightlife that you could see yourself easily going back to Ghana and replicating?
Oh, go ahead, Barbara.
No, go George. You started.
All right. So I don't know. I think y'all group went out a lot, but our group went out pretty much like every single night, and like every night was still like fun. Like no matter which place you went to, everybody was dancing, and like it was open late. Like if you really wanted to, you could stay there till like 6 a.m. So like they had good music, everybody had good vibes, open late. People are very inviting, so sometimes you just get free drinks just because you're dancing. So yeah, it was really cool.
Oh, Tito, did you go out? Did you go out with folks?
Yeah, I went out with both groups. I went out with both groups. Yeah.
Oh, so
Yeah, I did.
okay. All right. So
Nightlife is different in Accra, and yeah, let me say in Accra because Ghanaians like to have fun. So most of the time, the nightlife is different, especially when it's on Fridays and Saturdays and even Sundays. The nightlife is different because like after a hard week, let's just have fun in town and go back home and relax. So that's how we are able to put a lot of the stress away and all that because we are always having fun. Yeah, we are always having fun. That's our nature.
oh. Any other observations about the nightlife in Accra that you can share?
It was a great time.
Okay, we got it. You know, but okay, so everyone went out. What did you see in reference to COVID, right? Because were there concerns? Did you see individuals protect themselves? Like, how was that handled?
I say one night, I forgot the place that was called. I think it was called like Firefly or something like that. But after a while, it got extremely packed. I don't think there was any COVID restrictions. Like people were just out, just having a good time, like COVID didn't exist. But I would say like in Ghana, like they do really good with COVID protocol, so that must be why like they're not as on edge as we are because they do a good job keeping it away. So
one thing that I would add, like that's different in Ghana that we don't have in the States, like these businesses or establishments, they have like hand washing stations outside. So even before you can get in the building, you got to sanitize and wash your hands. And they make you do it.
Yeah, they do. Thank you for mentioning that, Andre. This was another myth to dispel, right? You know, and just the concept of hand washing everywhere you go before you go in is hygienic and ideal to begin with. Why don't we do that here? What a brilliant idea, right? But this has significantly led to a low percentage of individuals suffering from COVID-19. Having said that, Ghana does have a large asymptomatic population. So this is another unique scenario that the country faces. Tito, what do you think about this hand washing thing? I mean, you know, this is pretty big. Like we don't do this in the States. So you know.
It's very surprising to hear you guys don't do this in the States because there's a certain population of Ghanaians who also thought like this was all over. But the thing is, when COVID became a very serious thing, when it broke out seriously, the government, let me say this, that I have some issues with the government, but on this whole COVID protocols and everything, the way they handled COVID, I'm going to give them thumbs up because I felt like they handled it really well and they were punishing people who didn't have hand basins in front of their shops. They were closing down shops that didn't have hand basins, that weren't following the protocols and all that. So it made people really active with the whole protocol. And though the nightlife again was sometimes breaking some of the protocols, like because the whole thing was really serious, we were able to keep it.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, hands down to Ghana for this, because it's brilliant. Hand washing. And for anyone who says, oh, Michelle, well, COVID's airborne and, this and that. Listen, for me, in my opinion, okay, Andre, make sure you come back. For me, it's about just hygiene. Just, that's why we have masks. So, okay, Andre. So let's move on, because I do want Andre to participate in this part here. If you can, Andre, I understand if you've got to step up. Let's one last question. Did anyone feel homesick?
No.
Oh, not really. I felt like it went by too fast. Like I feel like we needed an extended time. So I was enjoying myself. So I didn't feel homesick at all.
I wouldn't say, so I was there for both trips. I wouldn't say homesick. Right. I just say that it was time for me to come back to the States.
Yeah. I was a little homesick. Okay, but it's okay. Let's move on. The Global Advocate Career Podcast has a section called Wait, What? Where I ask interesting questions and hoping to elicit interesting responses. Are you guys ready? Don't worry, you're in good hands. First question. We landed at Kotoka International Airport. Who is Kotoka? Does anyone know? Now, Tito and Barbara, I'm gonna have to put you aside for a moment.
I didn't even know this.
Oh, okay. Does anyone know who Kotoka is?
Is that like the second president of Ghana?
Kotoka, according to and please, fact checkers, Barbara and Tito, don't hesitate to correct me. Kotoka was actually a Ghanaian military officer who assisted in the coup d'etat against Nkrumah. Is that correct, Tito? Did I get that right?
Yeah, it's true. It's really true, but I don't even know, up to now, I don't even know why his name is on the airport.
Which is why I was like, what? Why would we want to? Okay,
He's a sellout. That's it.
Oh, okay. Next question, true or false? The national flag of Ghana was designed by a man. Is that true or is that false?
False.
I'm gonna go with false.
Girl power.
Right. I'm just say go with false.
You are correct. It is false. The national flag was designed by Theodosia Salome Oko, who also started the Ghana Hockey Federation. All right. She died at 93, so she had a long life. Question. What is iced kenke?
I know it. It's like kenke that you blend up and then you freeze and then you eat it.
And what's it made out of, Barbara?
Oh my God. Oh, I want to say corn.
Tell you, Barbara, don't disgrace us here. You're a girl.
I'm not answering that. I don't know.
You know what, Barbara? You were close before Tito intimidated you. It is a Ghanaian dessert made from steamed dumplings and fermented cornmeal, and they sell it on the street curb. So there you go. True or false? Ghana is known for its fantasy coffins, which come in different designs like cell phones, fish, airplanes, and cars, to name a few. Is that true or is that false?
Is it coffins?
Like
as in like.
We need Lauren for this question.
Yeah.
Is it true?
Yeah.
Yeah, Lauren would have known, definitely.
I know they take funerals and that whole process very serious, so I'm gonna go with true.
You are correct. You are correct, Nakara. There are artists throughout Ghana, right, Tito, that can do specially designed coffins. And you go online, you see them, cell phones, planes, birds, etc. Right, Tito?
Yeah, that's so true.
We didn't see any, so I'm hoping to see when I go back. Last
No,
question.
where you passed you didn't pass that area. It's mostly in the Ga communities. That's Teshi, Nungwa, and Ba. Those other communities, some other communities don't have that. But yeah, what you're saying is true. Yeah.
Yes, thank you, Tito, for saying that, because the Ga community believes, right, that how you lived in your current life is how you move on to the next. Did I get that right, Tito?
Yes, they believe that, Michelle. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Last question, and then we're gonna go final question for everyone. True or false? The Ghanaian dollar is called the cedi, which is the Akan word for a cowrie shell. Is that true or is that false?
Word for the what?
It's the Akan word for a cowrie shell. And I don't have an example of a cowrie shell.
But that first part I know is true. I'm not sure about the second part.
Okay, I'll repeat it. True or false? The Ghanaian dollar is called the cedi, which is the Akan word for a cowrie shell. Is that true or is that false?
I'm gonna just say true because
I don't even know what a cowrie shell is.
Cowrie shell, they wear them in their hair. They're kind of like tan, and they have the little inside that's rigid. It's kind of like
right. That's right.
I've seen kind of like a banana clip.
It's no. I actually
get one.
I have. You gonna get one, Cara? Because I have. You'll go. Yeah. Okay. So it is true. That's what the Ghanaian dollar is called. It's called the cedi, and yes, it is a cowrie shell. Okay. Our final question is actually for each one of you. It's 2 questions. And Andre, I know you got to sign off. So I want to thank you for coming on. Thank you for your participation. We're going to see more of Andre actually, because I'm having him in another interview when we're going to talk about tech. And so Andre, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Bye, Andre.
Bye, Andre. Here's the cowrie shell.
Yes. OG had those in his hair. I don't know if y'all made it.
Yeah, okay.
So was it true or false, Michelle?
It was true. It's true. Yes, it was true. Bye, Andre. Thank you so much. So tell me, each one of you, in addition to your careers, also have side interests. Tell us about your side interests. Brianna, let's start with you. You have your own, I did not know this. I didn't hear anything about it. You have your own company, and it's called, please don't say to me, hold on, I'm just looking at my notes here. Untrapped Minds. Tell us about Untrapped Minds. Let's give it a plug.
So I launched last year, December, so it hasn't been a full year yet. But it's basically a clothing line that helps to bring awareness to mental health. So I've always been an advocate for mental health, but with COVID and everything, with everybody going through the same thing, experiencing mental health issues, and us as a culture, we don't really talk about it that much. So I decided to create a clothing brand that would help bring awareness. So like they'll have affirmations on it. So not only for you, but for people looking on the outside in, it would be something that they could read to themselves.
And how can we get more information about Untrapped Minds?
So I have a website I can put in the chat, but it's called untrappedminds.com.
I'll put it in.
Oh, okay. And yeah. I'm also on Instagram and Facebook too. It's just Untrapped Minds.
Okay, so for those listening or watching, you can go on Untrapped Minds. If the owner, Brianna, is here. This is fantastic. Barbara, again, unbeknownst to me, right? You spend some time with someone and you start, you follow them on social media, and you are a makeup artist. And you have your own page, right? Barbie Beats, right?
Beats by Barb.
Beats by Barb. Tell us about it. What made you get into makeup?
Well, I started in college, my sophomore year of college. I just wanted a job so I can get some side money. And I went to the mall and Sephora was hiring. So I started working there for, 3 years while I was in college for a side job. And then when I moved here and I stopped working, I realized how much I still enjoy doing makeup. And I bought like a camera and lights. And my parents were like, if you're going to spend money, you have to be more serious. So I started doing, freelance on the side. So going into people's homes to do their makeup. And then 2 years ago, I was just like, well, I guess I can do on Instagram and show off some fun looks that I do. So it's been going on since then. Yeah.
That's fantastic. Do you do tutorials?
No, I don't have like a YouTube or anything because that takes a lot of time. I tried and it's just a lot of work. So I just do fun looks and like videos, like transformation videos and posts. Yeah. It's something that I do as a leisure activity too. So
That's
yeah.
fantastic. That's fantastic. Tito, our fact checker here at the Global Advocate Career Podcast for Ghanaian History. You also are a board member of TCU. Tell us about TCU.
Okay, so True Culture University, which is the full name of TCU, it started off with one guy who later, like me and Mother and Gion, and our aim is to try and unite Black students all over the world and have them on one platform. So we have chapters in University of Ghana, number one, Indiana University of Pennsylvania, and we just launched the chapter in Addis Ababa University. That was on Tuesday. We launched the chapter alongside our app. So what we are trying to have is a social media app that Black students all over the world can share their experiences and try and share stories, videos, articles. We try and promote students' articles about a lot of things, Black history, or whatever Black thing that you are facing. So that's something that we just launched on Tuesday, and it has been very good. We've been able to publish a whole lot of articles from so many universities in the States and some universities in Africa as well. So we are just keeping up the good work. So the app is out. It's called Portal, but it's going to get on Play Store and App Store hopefully in the course of this coming week. So when the app is out, like when it gets to Play Store and App Store, I'm surely going to share the link with everyone so that you can download and just use it. So, but for now, we are doing a beta test. So it's between University of Ghana and Addis Ababa University. We are trying to start with them and see how their experiences are going to be before we bring it out for everyone to use. So, but it's out, I should say, it's done and it's working.
Well, that's fantastic, Tito. Thank you, and keep us up to date with your activities at TCU. Very interested in that. George, you are the executive director of Justice for Cameroon. Can you tell us about Justice for Cameroon?
Yeah, sure. So it's an organization that I founded last year. Well, context, in Cameroon right now, it's something going on called the Anglophone Crisis, which is pretty much a civil war between armed separatists and the government that originally started because of a peaceful protest, because teachers in the Northwest and Southwest regions felt like they weren't being taken care of. And well, Cameroon is a bilingual country, so there's a Northwest and Southwest region that's English speaking, and the rest of the country speaks French. Majority of the country speaks French. So the Northwest and Southwest regions, the teachers felt like a lot of times they ship in French instructors, and a lot of times they're not getting taken care of. In addition, there's a lot of infrastructure that's not being built within the Northwest Southwest regions, even though originally the country was a federation that became one country. So a lot of people didn't feel right about that. And the peaceful protest was met with violence, and then it escalated, and now it's like an armed conflict. So I wanted to bring more awareness to it because it's actually the #1 most neglected displacement crisis, according to the Norwegian Refugee Council, when it comes to news coverage, when it comes to funds donated, and just overall support from the international community. And I knew about it for a while now, but I didn't know what exactly I could do about it. So I was in this program called SEMA with the University of California, and it was just by chance, there was a case competition, and one of the judges was, what was she doing? She was a co-founder of a Cameroonian NGO, but she was Cuban. So I was like, huh, that's interesting. So I talked to her. I ended up working, did some events with an NGO, and I asked them about other organizations that are doing good work, because a lot of Cameroonians in the diaspora like myself want to help out, but they don't know how to. So when I got that information about a lot of these other organizations, that's when I was like, how can I spread more awareness about what they're doing and about the crisis? And that's when it started.
Excellent. Is this a nonprofit?
It's not a registered anywhere, but I mean, technically we operate like a nonprofit. Like sometimes we do get donations, and those donations go towards orgs that we vetted on the ground. So yeah.
Okay, well, where can we get more information on your fantastic organization?
You can follow us on Instagram at Justice for Cameroon. We're also on Twitter at Justice Cameroon. Instagram is pretty much our biggest platform. We're also on Facebook, also at Justice for Cameroon, and even on LinkedIn at Justice for Cameroon. So follow us on social media. We post a lot of infographics, going over different aspects of the crisis, what started it, current events, and also NGOs to support, to help people on the ground. And
fantastic. Fantastic. Thank you. Thank you very much, George. What a fantastic organization. Cara, you said you like to go to the beach. What's the latest beach you've been to?
In Ghana.
Okay. Any plans for any others this year?
I'm going to Mexico for my fall break.
Nice.
But I just left a waterfall, if that counts, in Tennessee.
If it counts for you, it counts for us. Miesha, you said you like to go on meditating, singing, and listening to music. Who are you listening to right now on your playlist?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, because my playlist, that's hard. Can I give you two?
Sure.
I listen to like a lot of Lauryn Hill and like Jasmine Sullivan, but I have to give you a third one. And I've just been listening to what's his name? Who sings the Tetteh song? Tetteh. Come on, guys.
What song?
Or something.
Wait, Tito
Which
said
song
it.
is that?
Wait, Tito's big on music.
Yeah, I get it's like MSG, MJG, something like that. But
NSG.
Yeah, it's an M. He sings the song Tito. You guys have heard that song.
Is it an American artist?
I can't think of the lyrics.
Oh, Mustago?
Mustago. That's his name.
What's his name?
FKJ. Mustago.
Oh, FKJ. Okay, got it. Yes, I even know who that is.
So he has a band. I listen to a lot of his like live bands on YouTube.
Okay. Well, I just want to say thank you very much, Maisha, Brianna, Cara, George, Barbara, Tito from Ghana, Adenta Garden, Ghana, and Andre, who had to sign off. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedules to be part of this interview. It was really a pleasure, and I wouldn't have had it any other way traveling to my first trip with you all. I hope we do it again, and that we stay in touch. I hope also that those who listen, have a different perspective and a more informed one about the continent, the beautiful continent and beautiful country of Ghana. Tito, I want to thank you for sticking with us and dialing in spite of your technical difficulties. Tito, don't hang up. But I want to thank you, dear listeners and dear viewers. Until next time. Thanks so much.
Please, Michelle, I just wanted to add one thing.
Sure, go ahead.
You all should please try and follow True Culture University on Instagram. So it's True Culture University. We have about 11K followers or so. So if you see any True Culture University with anything less than 11K followers, it's not us. So just follow True Culture University and please write articles. Just send articles to me. We are going to publish them on our website. And when Portal is officially out to everyone, we can publish it on Portal as well. So about your experience, about anything, just let me know. True Culture University.
Absolutely. We will definitely, I will post it. I put True Culture contact information in my post, and we look forward to following your organization, Tito. Tito, don't move. I'm going to stop here, but thank you to everyone. And thank you, dear listeners and viewers from all over the world. Keep your comments coming. I really appreciate it. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. That's greatly appreciated. The Global Advocate Career Podcast. Until next time.